Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Sorry about the delay between videos. I've been working really hard on this current video. In today's video we're going to be going over in-depth guide to contracts for solos. There will be another one coming out that's going to be for squads, but I figured I'd get this out of the way, get solos out of the way first. So I'm also going to have a link to a Google Docs where it's not pretty, but it's a basic rundown so you can just go back to it to refer to it to see like, okay, what's this, what's that. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over each and every contract, how the contracts sort of work, and what I think are the best and the worst contracts, and the combination of contracts that you should be going for in your solo matches. So first of all, we're going to be talking about passive contracts, and we're going to be talking about actives. Now, what are passive and actives? First of all, let's get that out of the way. Passive contracts are something you can get, and then you don't have to do it at all. You'll just like passively get farms. So like uplink, that's a passive. You go to it, you collect it, and you don't have to do anything else. And it's passive stars. Gas, I would consider gas still a passive, but it's more of an active passive. So you go to a place more often and still get it. And then zeal, that's like the true passive. Like you just get that, and you can hold on to that all game without any trouble. Active contracts include Veltasite or crystals, power up, central power up is included in that, drone, hunt, bright caps, and cycle spike. So now we're going to be going over which like combos, or sorry, let's actually do which ones are like better than the others. So out of the passive contracts, it really depends on how like you want to go for it. Basic rule of thumb is get the passive before the active. So if you have uplink, gas, and zeal, I would try and get uplink and zeal going, get both of those, grab them, and then just get gas in the area around crystals. Don't like just focus on gas in solo games because you won't be able to control it with just one person. Then for actives, I would suggest any Veltasite crystal hard and above. I would say try and rush white crystal in the early game. Be careful. Maybe do the crystals around the white crystal. Try and get a 200 weapon, and that way you can um, be able to defend yourself if someone pushes over. But if you're confident in your ability to PvP, then just go ahead and start the white crystal right away. You'll be able to solo it easy. It's super easy. And then for power up, so what I suggest to go for power up is no, I would not suggest power up. If there's one that you spawn on, then go ahead and do it. Next is drone. It's alright. Hunt, bright cap, cycle. Okay, those are the actives. So here's what I'm gonna suggest. I would suggest uplink and zeal. Get those two. Say you have uplink, zeal, Veltasite power up. What you want to do is you want to try and find the next active uplink. So what uplink spawns? It spawns at 1820, and there's exactly 340 seconds until it switches to another uplink. So you have 5 minutes and 40 seconds. It spawns at the 1820 time mark, which is a minute 40 into the game, and you have exactly 5 minutes 40 seconds to do everything around it. So I would suggest trying to get uplink, get the zeal that's nearby the uplink. If you have enough time to get zeal before uplink spawns, then do it. But if you have to get uplink first, then do that first. Try and find the white crystal near the uplink. If there's not one, you can branch off a little bit. It doesn't matter if you're near the uplink, but I would suggest trying to stay in the general area around the uplink, like 200-meter distance, so that if someone takes the uplink, you can easily rotate back. I would also suggest for uplink you rotate off when there's 60 seconds remaining on it. That gives you plenty of time to get to the next active. Make sure no one's there to take it from you, and you can just take it easily. Gas, I would suggest next is gas. This is also passive. I would only suggest gas in solos if it's nearby. Don't actually go out hunting for it. It will not give you enough points at all. And then zeal is the last one. Zeal will give you around 9 points if you hold it all game. I would definitely suggest getting it. I would definitely suggest going out of your way to get it for sure. It's worth it because you just get passive farm from that. Okay, that's it for the passives. Now we're going to move on to actives. Veltasite. Like I said before, go for 400s and above. Do not go 200s are alright if you're really close and you need like quick money in the early game, but late game don't go for anything less than the 400. Next is power up. Power up is okay, but only at the beginning of the game. So if you spawn and you're really close to a power up, that's a guaranteed 1 point. So how the scaling for power up works is it's 1 power up for 1 point, and then after you get that, you need 2 power ups to get 3 points, and then 3 power ups to get 5 points, right? So you need to do a lot of power ups to get those points. And it's not really worth it to run around the map just doing power ups. So I would suggest not to do that, but in the early game, if you see a power up close by, go ahead and do it. Same thing with drone. Now, drone is a little bit more worth it. So drone is, you can get a free point just by picking up the drones as long as they don't take too much damage. So how it works is the drones can take damage and they can actually die. You need to pick up all 3 in order to launch it, and launching the drone successfully will give you 3 points, right? So if you spawn near it, I would highly suggest going for it right away, as long as there's not, like if you have uplink and zeal, then you don't really need to go for it. But if you only have like uplink, or if you only have zeal, then go ahead and get that secure like 4 points. Because if you pick up the 3 drones, then you're guaranteed to get 1 point off picking up the drones, and then if you launch it, you get 3 points. So that's a guaranteed 4 points in like 2 minutes, right? Next is hunt. Hunt is okay. It's another one where I suggest trying to, I wouldn't go just hunt. I wouldn't make it your main objective, but it's good to get if you're nearby. It's like, oh, a 2-star hunt's, 20 feet away. I might as well just go ahead and pick it up. But I wouldn't suggest going for it. Now, Warden Alpha is exactly 8 points, and it drops a 800 weapon. So killing it is pretty good. You get points for damaging it, and you get points for killing it at the end. I would suggest going for that in a game, but be careful. The Warden Alpha spawns a shit ton of creatures. So if you don't think you can actually kill it that easy, or if you don't have a good gun, or you're not worried about PvP, you don't have to do it. It's not going to win the other players the game. It's only 8 points. Next is Bright Caps. This is the same thing as Hunt. Don't go for Bright Caps specifically, but go for Bright Caps as an addition contract. But if you do see a big giant mushroom on the map, that means there's a bunch of Bright Caps in one little area. You can go for those. Those will have like 1,000 Bright Caps, and that's worth it to go get. Not like go across the map, but if you're like 300 meters, then go get it. And this is the last active. This isn't in every single game. It's like a 50% chance that it might be in, and it doesn't tell you if it's in or not at the beginning of the game. This is Cycle Spike. This is the best objective in the game. Regardless of how good you are at the game, you need to be going for Cycle Spike. Now, I'm not saying drop everything. If you're doing a 1K crystal, you still have time. You have exactly 2 minutes for it to start, or like 90 seconds for it to start. So it'll warn you, and you have 90 seconds to get over there. And then it's a 2-minute long thing. Inside of it, there's 3 tiers of crystals. There's a 100 crystal, a 250 crystal, a 500 crystal. I would try and avoid the 100 crystals, just because they don't really give you enough. You need 1,000 crystal points to get 2 VP. It doesn't scale at all, so it's always 1,000 for 2. And you can get roughly 10 if you do it the whole time. Anywhere from like 10 to 20. You get 20 if you do really good in it, but you only normally get that in like squad. Solos, it's a lot more difficult because there's like 4 people that go for it. But I would suggest to do it. Be careful though, if you are on foam, which means you've been recalled once that game, it's a pretty dangerous contract. So if you are on that and you're just wanting to play it safe, don't go for it, but it is definitely the best active contract. Now we're going to talk about how the points work. So let me go ahead and show you my screen. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, so here's this list. Just ignore all this. So for Cycle Spike, like I said, we're just going to go over this. There's no scaling, so 1,000 points equals 2. Veltocite is 280 to get 1 star, 550 to get 2 stars, 800 to get 3 stars, and 1,000 to get 4. Once you get 1,000, then it keeps going 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, right? And then drone, picking up, this is just picking up drone. So every time you launch the drone itself, you get 3 points no matter what. But picking up drones, you get 200 and you get 1 point. You get 400 and you get 2 points. You get 600 and you get 3 points. And then it stops at 3. It keeps going, but you know what I mean. Alright. Then we have hunt. Hunt is 250 for 1 point, 750 for 2 points, 1,500 for 3 points. Then you have power up, 1 for 1, 2 for 3, 3 for 5. We already talked about that. You have bright cap, so this is depositing. 350 for 1 point, 700 for 2 points, 1,000 for 3 points, and 1,500 for 4 points. Now here's the stats. So inside Cycle Spike, you have the 100 crystals, 250 crystals, 500 crystals. The different types of Veltocite scale from 100 to 200 to 400 to 600 to 1,000. Okay, so I'm going to talk over this. Cycle Spike, do not get the 100s. You can tell they have different sizes in the Cycle Spike. Get the 250s and get the 500s. The 100s are just not worth it for the time it takes to run over and pick it up. For Veltasite, I would just don't do 100 crystals. If you have to do a 200, then do it if you want to like farm credits early game, like I already said. But if you can, try and do something above 400. These are super easy. You don't have to worry about like the difficulty. You can still do them by yourself. This is just a basic math. Drone scale, so like if they've taken like 10% damage, then they will drop down to where 70 points per drone pickup, and then they'll drop down to 40 until they die. And then there's different tiers of hunts, so you'll have green hunt. Greens are like the most common. They're in like the 1 stars, the 2 stars, even in 3 stars and the 4 stars. Then you have the 150, which are little blue hunt things, and then you have the 250s, which are purple. The purples aren't guaranteed out of a 4 star, but they're the only ones that they actually spawn in. Then you have power up. So power up, this is the only statistic I can mark down for this. It's roughly around every 5 minutes. So when you power up, right? I know that sounds stupid. When you power up a power up, then after 5 minutes, roughly, it'll reset and you'll be able to go back and power it up again. So keep that in mind when you do, okay, like if I've done this, then I can go back in 5 and get another power up. Uplink, once you cap it, you get immediately get 30 points, and then every 10 seconds you get another 30 points. Zeal is 10 points for 5 seconds. Red Zeal does not change this, so orange and red Zeals are the exact same. Gas, as soon as you start it, it's 0.2 per second per gas. Once it reaches level 2, it's 0.5 per second per gas. And once it levels 3, which is the cap, it's 1 per second. Bright caps, there's 3 different tiers of bright caps that you can pick up. There's the small, the medium, and the large. 50, 100, 150. And then there's another way for drones. So actually going over, if another player is launching a drone and you demolish it, if you kill it from like the very beginning with its full HP, you'll get 2 points for like just destroying it, and then 2 points for like fully destroying it. So like doing damage to it gives you 2 points, and then fully destroying it gives you another 2 points, right? Now let's talk over what I would say are the best contracts. The best active contract is Cycle Spike, and then you have Veltasite, which is another good one. Cycle Spike's the best, followed by Veltasite, followed by, I would say, Bright Caps. Drone and Hunt are kind of the like tied, and then Power Up's the worst. So if I would suggest, don't do Power Up. Passives, Uplink and Zeal are always going to be the best because they're the easiest to control. Gas is the best if you can control them all, but, you know, average it out, Uplink and Zeal are always going to be your best 2 things. And if I was to suggest a play style for how you should play it again, say you get Veltasite, Uplink, Zeal, and Drone. If there's a drone that spawns on you, and you didn't get the next active Uplink spawn nearby, get that drone, secure 4 points in the early game, find the nearest white crystal, like remember when the uplink's going to switch over, always be looking, and then try and rotate over to the next active uplink once the uplink the uplink timer's at 60 seconds. And then just play the game out through that, try and get uplink, try and get the Zeal. If you're wanting to not risk it, Red Zeal's always more sought after, but it's the same amount of ticks per second. The only time that Red Zeal's different is evacing. You get an extra 3 stars for evacing with red, right? So you don't really need red until late game. I would suggest trying to get it so that way it's in your possession and you always know where it is. So that way some guy doesn't just sneak out with it and take the stars away. But you don't have to hold it. It's just an extra risk that you don't need to take until late game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This actually took a long time to compile. I'm going to link this Google Docs in the description so you guys can always look at it. I will always be updating it, or I'll try to keep it updated, so like if they change how much Veltasite you need per level of the contracts or whatever, then I will try and update it so that way you can always use this to reference, okay, I need 280 Veltasite so I can do a medium and an easy, and then I'll get 25 credits. Oh, also, for the tiers of things, for the first tier, like 1 star, you get 25 credits. For the second tier, or 2 stars, you get 50 credits, and for the third and fourth tier, you get 75, and it continues to 75 the whole time. So it is definitely worth it for like early game trying to do like 2 medium Veltasite so you can secure an extra 25 on top of killing monsters. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will try to come out with one for squads later on. I just have to like do another one of these, rewrite all this list for like the squads points. But if you guys could drop a like on the video, it'd be really appreciated. It took a couple hours to compile and find out all the things, what are they worth, and talk about it. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.